founder and editor of For Harriet. And y'all respond really well to videos, so I thought I would come back with another one. Also, everything is horrible, so I don't have a real desire to sit down and write through it. So I thought we could talk about something that has been on my mind. Let's do it. So I am a single Black woman. I'm a heterosexual woman. I do identify as a feminist. And despite all of the fear-mongering that happens around the romantic options of Black women, despite what the Steve Harveys and all of the wannabes are trying to tell y'all, I'm not at all worried that my feminism or my ambition or my independence or the fact that I am not particularly good at cooking or cleaning, like, I'm not worried that those things make me undesirable. Like, I'm not worried that it's gonna be difficult to find a man that will have me. It's just not a concern that I have. I am increasingly concerned about choosing the right partner, about finding the right mate who understands my ambition, who understands my politics, and who is not going to try to derail those in any way, because I've absolutely seen what choosing the wrong partner, choosing the wrong co-parent can do to somebody's life. And I would, quite frankly, rather be single for the rest of my life and spend all of my money on expensive shoes and making it rain on my nieces than live that kind of life, right? So I'm thinking deeply about what I want from my life, what I want from my family life, what I want from my friendships, and of course from my romantic partnership, right? And I have come to the conclusion, and I'm really resolute, that any marriage that I enter, any long-term commitment that I enter, has to be a fundamentally equal one, right? So I've come to that conclusion at the same time that I'm reading all of these articles. The most recent in the New York Times, there was another really good one in Slate, and I will link them down below. But I'm reading these articles that make me think that a fundamentally equal opposite-sex marriage, at least, is not possible. And if it might be possible, right? But it is unfeasible. So these two articles cite an HBS study, a Harvard Business School study. They surveyed 25,000 Harvard Business School graduates, right? And they asked them questions about their marriages. They asked them questions about their homes. Right? And in that study, overwhelmingly, the men said that they expected their careers to be more important than their spouses' careers, right? And the women said the opposite, right? They didn't say the opposite. They said that they expected that their careers and their husbands' careers would be equally important. The study also showed that the women ended up doing the lion's share of the housework. They ended up doing much more parenting, right? The day-to-day child care than their partners, right? And they didn't expect that, right? They went into these relationships thinking that that is not what would happen. But they got into these marriages and the status quo took over. And that is one of my biggest fears, because I am painfully ambitious. You know, I was the kid, like the 5-year-old kid who just like toppled over the Monopoly board because I lost, right? It's in my DNA. And, you know, let's not even say, like, I'm not even trying to front like that's completely healthy, right? Because it's not, but I don't foresee it changing anytime soon, right? And I want to do a lot of things with my career, and I have lots of goals, and I understand that the type of goals that I have, the ambitions that I have, require a level of commitment and focus that will make them impossible if I am not in a fundamentally equal relationship. But also I desire equality outside of the home, right? And there's a really great book called Gender Justice in the Family by Susan Moller-Oken, right? And she basically explains that families are the building blocks of our society. And if you desire justice outside of the home, you have to have that same sort of justice inside of the home, right? So I don't want to model for my children that one parent does all the work, right? That one parent does all of the housework, that one parent does all the child rearing, you know, that one parent has to subvert their ambitions and their goals for those of their partner, right? But here's the thing. I am not sure that there is room in a partnership or a marriage for two painfully ambitious people. You know, I had a conversation with this about with a friend recently, and he said there's only room for one genius in a marriage. So no matter what happens, right? Even if I find, you know, somebody who is just like me, who is ambitious, who wants to win, someone is gonna have to take a loss, right? And that makes me worried. It makes me really, really worried. But again, I do desire to be married, I think, right? So I have to now, you know, reevaluate my ideal partner, right? And that means that I have to redefine what is attractive masculinity, right? So if I want a partner who's going to be okay with me working all the time, with, you know, me prioritizing at times my career and my ambition, then they're not going to be, you know, a alpha male, right? Probably not. Because it's unreasonable to expect people to be one thing at one time and not bring that home with them, right? So that means that I'm now open to different types of partners, people that I didn't, you know, that I wouldn't normally find attractive or marriageable or dateable, right? Older partners, less ambitious partners, partners who, you know, make less, right? Who are less committed to their work. And, oh, so Solange, right, just married a 51-year-old man, right? So Solange is 28, and she just married Alan Ferguson, who is 51. And I remember learning that he was 51 and being like, ew, like, why did you do that, right? But then in the Slate article, it mentioned that Ursula Burns, who is the CEO of Xerox and who is a Black woman, married a man who was 20 years older. And it enabled her to really climb the corporate ladder because her husband was able to take on the day-to-day care of the kids because he was retired. And I thought, oh. And this is all important to me now, despite the fact that I'm not dating for marriage. And, you know, I'm, like I said, very single. Because I do believe in approaching things with intention. And so if I desire something different than what I am encountering all the time, then I have to be prepared to make different choices, right? I'm not really in the you can't help who you love camp, right? Like, I don't believe that's true. Like, and even if you can't help who you love, you certainly do have a choice about who you choose to engage in partnership with, right? Like, you certainly have a choice about who you marry. I'm also interested in having a conversation about this because I don't know, right? Like, I say that I don't foresee waking up one day and not caring about goals and career, but it could happen. Who knows, right? I know enough to know that I could wake up tomorrow and feel completely differently. But I am interested in having a conversation about, you know, do you feel the same way? Like, if you are a woman, do you have a fundamentally equal partnership? In fact, doesn't have to just be a woman's conversation. Do you have a fundamentally equal partnership? Is your co-parent equally responsible for your children? Do they do the same amount of household work that you do? How do you manage having, you know, feminist politics and engaging in this institution that is fundamentally unequal? I'm worried, guys. I'm really, like, I'm legit worried. So anyway, feel free to leave a comment below. I think this will be a fun Twitter conversation, so you can definitely tweet me about it. You might not get a response anytime soon, but I do read emails, so feel free to send me one. And be sure to visit the site forharriet.com. Okay, guys, thanks for letting me get that off of my chest. Bye.